Alright, so today we have Gravios versus Seething Bazelgeuse, two Elder Dragon level monsters going head to head and representing the Flying Wyvern lineage. So without further ado, let's begin. Starting off with Bazelgeuse, what does he bring to the table? Now, I don't think anyone's going to disagree with the fact that Bazelgeuse is definitely faster and definitely has a bit more, I would probably say, weaponry on him. You see, Bazelgeuse's main thing is that he does have a large majority of bombs, especially with seething Bazelgeuse, where he's actually just able to, well, kind of just line the ground with these much more volatile, explosive compounds. And with him being a variant, this does mean he does have a little bit of added oomph to it, where they are able to kind of just, I guess you could say, they plant themselves on the ground, then they start growing into more orbital bombs. Now in World, these things were obviously bigger, but obviously over the years we realized that they are actually a bit smaller than they realize. However, Bazelgeuse's whole thing is the fact that he does carpet bomb and then he tries to go in for a nuclear attack later. This does kind of harm him when it comes for fighting, especially when it comes to monsters that excel in like hand-to-hand and grappling ranges, or monsters that can, well, kind of get one up on him, such as when he was actually able to hold his own against a Ruiner Nergigante, the apex elder dragon of not only his region but in possibly other regions as well, considering Nergigante was supposed to be or supposedly inhabited old world regions as well. So with that being said, him being able to fight an apex elder dragon is pretty great, but we can also tell here that he does not excel when it comes to the more close quarters range, in that Nergigante is actually having the bigger advantage when it comes to a close quarters fight. Yes, he is able to, flip him over and grapple him, but Nergi simply just gets through the explosives, grabs him, and then simply just plummets him right into the ground, where apparently they both, or apparently Basil kind of like gets away at the moment from him. But nevertheless, Seething Bazelgeuse has pretty much a F-22 bomber attached with a nuke. So that's going to do it for him. Now let's move on to his opponent, Gravios. So Gravios definitely has the strength and durability advantage, and I would actually say he has the firepower advantage as well over Bazelgeuse, because he's just done a lot better than what Bazelgeuse has. You see, not only has he been able to push around his own predator, or supposed to be predator, because again, it's apparently rare for a Cantor to hunt Gravios, but with that being said, he still is able to push back a creature that is capable of taking on the likes of Teostra, Lunastra, and whatever elder dragons that inhabited the volcanic regions of the New World. So pretty much, Gravios definitely has the force behind his attacks to harm Bazelgeuse. But not only that, you see, Gravios himself has a lot of combinations for like anti-predator defenses and a lot of field control. You see, he's able to expel poisons, he's able to expel fire, and actually expel sleep gas as well. So Gravios definitely has a lot going for him, plus the sheer bulk of him, especially with that club tail, actually packs some devastating force as well, with him being able to, well, honestly, even to extrude fireballs and manipulate fire and blast manipulation. He's honestly one of the most dangerous monsters to pretty much come across, especially with his beam, which is like his, I guess you say, his final flash, if you will. But overall, Gravios does take the edge in terms of durability and strength, the physical attributes of strength and durability, as well as him having much more devastating firepower. So now let's talk about it. Who wins more often than not? Gravios versus Seething Bazelgeuse. Well, believe it or not, I think this match is not as straightforward as people think. You see, Gravios does have the strength, durability, and the firepower to bring down Bazelgeuse. However, Bazelgeuse is definitely faster and has more weaponry. I definitely think Gravios definitely has a lot more abilities, but when it comes to like the potency of it, I think Bazelgeuse just has a lot more potency, I should say, or at least potency comparable to at least two Gravios attacks, that being his fireballs and his, his whole fire beam or blast beam or whatever. So believe it or not, Seething Bazelgeuse does have a distinct edge over Gravios. However, there's a problem. The Bazelgeuse lineage is not very smart when it comes to fighting. They tend to get close to their opponents, and it's kind of often. Even when Bazelgeuse does have the upper hand, he still finds a way to kind of just use his close range or try to get in close, which is not something good for dealing with something like Gravios. So if Bazelgeuse tries to dive bomb Gravios like he did with Tigrex, that's not going to end up well, as Gravios is just physically superior to even that of a Tigrex in general. Probably not a Grimclaw or a Brute, but again, against a Tigrex, which was able to tank and even being able to somewhat hold back Bazelgeuse, yeah, I don't think that's a pretty fair comparison. So when it comes down to it, I do favor Gravios more often than not. And this is because with both Seething and even a regular Bazelgeuse, they both do have a tendency to get close to their opponents. Meaning that Gravios is likely going to just body slam Bazelgeuse if he gets close, and proceeds to probably just beam him in his head, or he could probably beam him in his neck, and honestly just cause a massive explosion. So believe it or not, I am going to give it to Gravios, but that is going to be all today, you guys. Please comment down below, like and subscribe, and share with your friends. This is Legendary Grimlock, and I'll see you guys for another video. The next one up should be ARKVELD versus Magna Mallow, and then I'll be doing the Shagama versus Bonboro. But that's going to be all today, you guys, and yeah, you have a blessed day. Peace.